Good morning. It's lovely to see you here on a Friday morning for me. Let me show you the sky. Isn't that beautiful? The wind is from the north, so it's really pretty mild. We're going to go around the other way today. Hi, Nora. Gorgeous to see you. You know, the flowering trees, you really can't see them unless I get the eye off the sun or off the sky because the sky's too bright. Good morning, Linda, gorgeous. It's lovely to see you always. And there's the world. There's the sky right above us. Shannon, it's lovely to see you too. Good morning, Amy. It's lovely to be here and just share this with you. Good morning, Heather. Nesreen, yay! Look at this, there's the sun just over there. And yeah, it's a marbled sky today. Well, sort of marbled. I know that isn't really like marbling, but it makes me think of marbling. Don't ask me why, but it's just beautiful. Now, let me come back this way because here's the magnolia. Kathleen, yay, it's great to see you. I'm going to walk up here because all the flowers are at the back at the moment. So here's the magnolia and the century plants, which get really big. And there we are, the first few flowers coming out. It's very pretty. And, you know, look at the magnolia back here. It's covered in buds. So, yeah, it's nice to be able to ramble in the garden with you and just show you what's happening. Get a bit closer. Let's have some focus on this flower. Come on, sort it out, camera. Just got to fill up the screen enough that it stops paying attention to everything else. It's like changing your focus. There we are, it's trying. There you go, now you can see. And look at the fur on the side of that thing on the cover. So, it's beautiful. Julian, good morning. Facebook hasn't... Heather, you have. There you are, now Facebook knows. So there's the rosemary and the hebes I planted, and look at all the love and the mist that's going to flower. And this is the wild rose geranium, which seeds, and I'm very happy because it always makes beautiful scent. And here are the snowdrops. Snowflakes, I beg your pardon. Snowdrops are actually different, but they just, you know, they dangle in the breeze and they're beautiful. And there are the jonquils, which are the star of the show at the moment, of course. And there's just so many of them. So there we go. Nothing missing, really. I mean, yeah, you can see I've got to prune the hydrangea in behind, but, you know, that's life in the garden. I haven't gotten around to it yet. And fortunately, things are not yet growing, because that's the thing about winter, it all slows down. Which, if you've got a busy garden, as I actually try not to have, it's like, oh my God, I can stop pulling out weeds because things aren't growing. I just got to show you this, because isn't it glorious? Having a circle garden is pretty awesome. I built that. You can see the slope of the land here, and I had all this extra soil, and then I went and got some extra soil, and I made myself a mound. So it's lovely. Good morning, Jen. It's great to see you. Here we all are out in the garden today, and there's a breeze, but I don't think it's going to cause us too much trouble. So, I want to talk about something that came out of our amazing conversation about love and broken hearts, and, you know, I don't trust people because I've been hurt, and my heart is broken, and, you know, we seem to end up... Because, I mean, we're talking about love, right? And there's lots and lots and lots and lots of ways that and things that love can mean to people. But it just so happened that a few of you have had some difficult relationships, and some of you are having a difficult relationship experiences now. And so we kind of got this, you know, oh my God, end of a long-term relationship, I'm feeling heartbroken, I don't think I can ever trust again. Or that happened to me 27 years ago and I still can't trust. And I thought, I really need to address this. Because, you know, the trauma, to shortcut the story, the trauma becomes the story, it becomes the identity, it becomes who we are. We get addicted to it, we get conditioned to it, and we actually manifest things in our bodies and our lives that go with it. It's like, oh, feck, really? And we sort of assume that this is just what happens, you know, somebody has a traumatic experience, and I mean trauma, I mean far worse than I've ever experienced, and you think, Well, it's reasonable and logical and sensible and justified that this should scar them for the rest of their life and limit who they are. And you see it all around you, and you see it in literature, and you see it in movies, and it's the expected norm that this is what it means when bad shit happens to people. And what I understand now, and this is what I want to explain, Arlen, great to see you, honey, is that this is not so. But the reason why everybody thinks and believes and surrenders and accepts that it is so is what I'm about to tell you, which I did not work out myself. I learned this from my inspiration, Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I want to give credit where credit's due. So, whenever you have a novel experience, small, medium, large, whatever, but especially when the experience is highly emotionally charged, positively or negatively, it doesn't matter. If it's an experience that makes you stop, pay attention with all of your awareness to what's going on, what happens in that instant is that the brain, which receives, I've forgotten the number, I used to know the number, of hundreds of thousands of pieces of information every second, right? If not millions or trillions, I don't know, it's a silly number. Enormous amount of information that comes into the brain every moment. Now, if you're having a traumatic or a highly positive experience, much more of that information gets into the brain than is normal. The brain perks up and pays attention. It's, something out there has changed my experience inside myself, and it's powerful. What was it? If it's really good, I want to know what this is so I can try to do it again. If it's really bad, I want to know this is so I can try to avoid it again. This is what the brain does. And we have this thing somewhere in the brainstem, I think. Yeah, I know it's in the brainstem. I've remembered, oh my God. This thing called the reticular activating system. And what that does is it filters information coming from everywhere, I think. Pretty sure. It filters that information so that you get the bits that are relevant to you. Because if you got all the information that your brain is actually picking up and perceiving and receiving through your 5 senses and everything else, you'd go mad. It'd be too much. So the reticular activating system does a really good thing and shuts a lot of it off. But of course, those are our filters, and our filters can be really skewed. So, when there's a really powerful experience, because it's about survival, particularly in a negative situation, it's about survival, so we need to know what this was so we can try to avoid it. So the reticular activating system, I think, kind of opens up a bit more and says, whoa, we're going to get more information here. And the brain takes a 360-degree, 256 million colour snapshot, surround sound, everything, sensory, taste, smell, the works, and says, we got to remember this, because we have to avoid it. And then, with positive experiences too, right? But in a positive way. With a negative experience, what happens then is the person, they're shocked, they're traumatized, they've had a loss, they've had whatever it is, and inevitably, they have to go and deal with it. So maybe there's an injury and they have to go to hospital and say, well, this is what happened, and they tell the story of how they got injured. And so they've just taken that thing that was a memory, an experience, and they've fired it again. They've run it again. So now it's happened twice. And then they're sitting in the hospital waiting for treatment. And they're thinking, oh God, I should have never done that thing, which meant that I had this accident. And now they've run it again. They've fired and wired the experience. They're remembering it. They're rehearsing it. And the thing is, remember, when you're making new connection in the brain, it's where we started. You're making new connection in the brain. That's called making a memory. Neurons click together. They link up. And when they do, you get neurotransmitters. The connection fires, the synaptic connection fires, and you get neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters talk to your emotional brain, your limbic brain, chemistry pores, and what are they called? Neuropeptide pore, and they talk to your hormonal centers, and you have an emotion. That's how it works. And then you replay the story, telling the emergency technicians, okay, I did this is what happened, this is what I remember, this is what hurts. You rehearse it again. And then, you have to talk to the surgeon, or you have to talk to the trauma debriefer. And every time you tell the story, you rehearse it, you pour the chemistry again. Lalit, good morning, beautiful. And so already, just in the process of dealing with a traumatic injury, let's use that example, you've told the story, 5, 10 times, and then, you wake up in the morning, if you're lucky, you get to sleep. If you're not in so much pain, you can't, and you wake up and you think, oh my God, here I am, I have this pain in my body, and this pain in my body means that I had this experience, and you remember the experience, and you rehearse it again. And then when you get to, and you keep doing this because people keep talking to you about it, and they come in and they say, how are you, and what happened, and you tell them the story again, and every time you remember it, the chemistry pours again. You're firing and wiring those synaptic connections, and they get stronger. This is how the powerful experiences literally leave an imprint in our brains and in our bodies. Now, if you say that's a traumatic injury, right? But let's say in, 1 week, La La Land, you make a full recovery and you're fine, and you forget it, and you go back to yourself, you go back to your life, and you go back to the idea that you're pretty much, you expect to be safe, and you can go through your life, and you're not going to hurt, and everything's okay. That all calms down, and those connections, even though you fired and wired them a lot for a week or two, they're going to prune apart. You're not going to keep going and going and going over them, and so you're not conditioning yourself into that state of mind, that state of being. And you're absolutely right, Nezreen. That's why therapy is not very helpful. If it keeps rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing the same old stuff, and this is why it doesn't work. But this is also how we become literally the identity of our traumas, because you think it over and over and you feel it over and over. And the thing is, if you're feeling the shock and the trauma of, oh my God, that car ran into me, for example, and you remember the moment, it's like, oh my God, and you remember the moment, oh my God, your body, and I'm quoting Joe here, your body is so objective. It doesn't know the difference between the actual experience, boom, this car hit me, I've got broken bones, and you remembering it and replaying it in your brain. So when you are replaying it and feeling it, you are literally having the experience again. Yeah, dealing with the emotion without having to dig up the past is awesome. Yeah, neuro-linguistic programming is great for that. It's brilliant. So this is how we get stuck in our past, because it's a powerful experience, and the brain is saying, I gotta remember where I was just before that happened, and I gotta look out for, and it's rehearsing to try and avoid it, which is great if you need to run away from a tiger. But if you're stuck in that loop and you're never thinking about anything else, or if you've been horribly betrayed and you just think, I'm never going to trust anyone again because it hurts so much. I'm never going to trust anyone again because it hurts so much. And you affirm it and you feel the feelings of how much it hurt. And that chemistry that you're pouring over and over and over and over and over and over again, because we don't realize what we're doing, we don't realize we have another choice, then there's an abundance of the chemistry of betrayal in your body, right? Whatever those stress hormones are, it's a particular blend. You whip up a batch of stress hormones to go with how it feels to be betrayed. And because those stress hormones are there in piles and buckets and lots of them, then the receptors on the outside of your cells, it's like a little flower with an antennae in it that responds to resonance and responds to chemistry. And if there's a whole lot of stress hormones, and if there keeps on being a whole lot of stress hormones, then it's like a supermarket when there's too many people in the queues. They'll open up more checkouts. Whole set of behaviours. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, you're so right, because that's how the brain works by association, right? It's like, this goes with that. Totally right, Andrea. So you open up more checkouts to deal with stress hormones. What that means is that as your cells die and replace themselves, you have cells with more receptors for stress hormones. And then what happens is If you one day actually decide that you want to stop being stressed, you sit down and meditate, or you go for a walk and you think, I want to feel calm. And you just can't. It's like you sort of calm yourself down, then your brain just, oh, but that was awful, you know. It's like, why can I not calm myself down? And it's because those checkouts, which have been busy processing stress hormones for you for however long, suddenly there's no one in the queue, and the checkout operators are saying, I need some work to do, I need some work to do, I need some work to do. I better send a signal to the brain to fire an unhappy thought so I can get some more stress hormones. That is literally what happens, and it's literally how we get addicted to our painful emotions. And so you have someone who is addicted to anger and resentment and bitterness, and there's nobody around them to be angry and bitter and resentful with, so they kick the dog because they need their fix of anger. This is literally how it works. And I've seen my own body do the same thing recently. You know, it's not like this never happens to me. It just goes looking for something, anything, to be angry about. So this is how we can get addicted to our own negative emotions. It's a physical thing. And remember, by now, you've fired and wired a really powerful superhighway inside your head. You've worn a deep rut inside your brain about how you think and how you feel and how you behave, and you think it's who you are. And it's not. It's just that your brain, you unconsciously, not realising what you're doing to yourself, been replaying a painful experience over and over and over again, and it's become who you are. But it isn't who you are. Now, the way to change that, which might, you know, understanding this seem, oh my God, is to actually, you've got to be able to, as Joe says, think greater than you feel. And that can be very, very hard. If you've been feeling like a victim, if you've been feeling betrayed, if you've been feeling heartbroken, if you've been feeling pain, if you've been feeling fear for weeks, years, months, decades, what, you want me to feel love? You want me to imagine joy? You want me to inhabit peace? You want me to behave like generosity and compassion? Jamara, lovely to see you. Are you mad? And you come up with all these reasons why you shouldn't do that, and why it's justified that you remain afraid and remain betrayed and remain sick and, you know, all of that. And it is, totally is. Shitty stuff happened to you. But here's the question. Is something that happened 30 years ago, is it worth continuing to use that as a reason to keep on being like this when it's really painful? I know everything in my mind and my body says, oh God, no, don't go somewhere new. Don't you dare try to feel better. Happiness? Are you joking? No. I want my business through the checkouts, thank you very much. Give me my stress hormones now. Jocelyn, good morning. This is so what happens. And so even the thought of practicing feeling a different emotion and imagining thinking a different thought and beginning to imagine living a different life is so, it's not only foreign, it can be even repulsive, it can be disgusting, it can be, how dare you even, because, oh, this awful thing happened to me, how dare you imagine or even suggest to me that I can be happy after this? Sang Marie, it's gorgeous to see you. How dare you? You know, it's like there's all this very justified reasoning as to why, but this is who I am. This shit happened to me and I've built a life around it. And we have this choice to make. And, you know, like I say, it's a huge choice, and you're not going to make it in a minute. You're going to make it over and over and over because, hey, you unconsciously chose to inhabit your pain for however long you did. And by the way, that chemistry, you know, continuing to keep those checkout operators happy with bundles of stress hormones, ultimately it's going to push the buttons for some kind of illness because the body can't stand being in that stress mode all the time. It's going to break down because when you're in stress, all the energy that your body should be using for creating and healing and keeping itself healthy and everything, it's not available. It goes into stress hormones. And so you get broken down. Yeah, so I can only guess. In fact, I can't guess. I have no idea how painful it was, Linda. But you see, you didn't know what you know now about how to move through things. Big love, Andrea. Mwah. So, some of us have these internal mountains to move. And the important thing to realise is not, oh my God, I've got to move the mountain or I'm going to die. It's actually much more, I just got to grab a shovel and move this one shovel full of dirt. Linda, gonna gorgeous. I just got to pick away at it, because what I've learned in my own journey is that once you've turned the ship around and you're sailing in the other direction, it's already different. And it's different because, oh my God, I turned the ship around. I actually had my first truly happy thought for the first time in 20 years. And you celebrate that about yourself. And, you're never going to feel trust until you trust yourself. It's like you can't love anyone else better than you can love yourself. You are never going to feel at home anywhere until you feel safe and secure in yourself. Which is, oh my God. You're never going to feel abundant. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account unless you feel abundant in yourself. So this is the crazy thing. We have to slowly, step by step, and it takes determination, it takes will, it takes commitment to me to overcome all that programming that said, don't you even go anywhere near trying to feel happy in the middle of all the, and it's not that much shit that's going on in my life. Really, I can look around and think, you what? But the program is so strong. How dare you try to think, feel, be differently? I don't care if it's better for you. I don't care if it's going to make you happy. I want my fix. I want to be who I'm used to being. The body and the brain, they resist going into the unknown. And if you've been the identity of betrayal or fear or homelessness or, lack, which is me, for 30, 40 years or however long it's been, the body and the brain, they know that and they want to stay there. So to go somewhere else when your external circumstances haven't changed, but to realise that it comes from inside you. And when you've really changed what's inside you, what's outside you is going to match. That's where we are embodying greatness. That is greatness. When you turn your own internal ship around without anything around you changing, because you just say, no, what's outside me is not the truth. What I hold to be true inside me, that's the truth. And when you do that, the sea changes. It's such a powerful discussion, I'm glad I got through it in 20 minutes. I know I'm out of time. So I'm going to show you the sky, because this is how unlimited you and I are. We think something else, but this is the truth of you and me. And it's beautiful, and it's limitless, and that's who we are. So much love. Practice the love that we did yesterday. We could do so much, couldn't we? So practice and remember every moment we're choosing. It's Friday. Enjoy the resonant replays, and I'm going to choose because they say, pick me! And I will see you Sunday, Monday. Remember who you're choosing to be and practice that. That's what I'll be doing. Bye-bye.